Good morning, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Mondays. Today, we're talking about this idea of perfectionism. I want to start this video off right away by saying I'm in no way asking people to plan to fail. That's not what this is about. We're actually planning to succeed. And in order to plan to succeed, I want to use an example. So since most people know me talking about diet, that's what the example we're going to use today. But I want you to understand that what we're talking about applies to any goal that you have for yourself. So let's start off by saying that I'm going to start with the knowledge I have to engage whatever it is I'm trying to succeed at. So in this case, we're talking about dieting. So if I start off with the information I have in the moment, I'm going to eat what I think is appropriate. And what's going to happen? I'm going to make some mistakes. And then what's going to happen? I'm going to allow myself to understand making mistakes is normal. And then I'm going to do the next piece, which is look at the mistakes. So, if I aim at perfect, I end up blaming either myself or blaming the situation, so the diet. So if I blame myself, I'm a failure, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't get things right. If I blame the diet, well, this diet just doesn't work. Now, both of these situations causes problems. If I'm blaming myself, I'm going to feel like a failure, and that means my confidence in me, so my belief that I can solve things for me, that I can do better in life, is going to fall away. That's not great. If I blame the diet, then I'm likely to think that life is hopeless, and like things can't go well. So if this diet doesn't work, or if dieting doesn't work, or if eating, right, if there's no way to modify my food to solve this problem, and again, this is food, I could be talking about anything else. If there's no way to modify something, and I blame that situation, then what it really means is that there's no way to solve. Hopelessness is going to set in. The other problem that happens when we aim at perfection is that we delay the time between when we see the problem and when we begin working on the problem. And the reason that happens is because when I'm aiming at perfection, there's this feeling that I shouldn't start until I know how to make whatever I'm going to do happen correctly. So in this case, I'm not going to start the diet until I know I can do the diet correctly, and that every step of the way that I'm doing the diet, I'm going to do it correctly, and I'm going to get results, right? So no stalls, no issues, and again, this creates two major problems that I can see very clearly, and I think you're going to see them too, because we cannot guarantee success. So, what does that mean? I start the diet. I want to lose 120 pounds, but I can't guarantee I'm actually going to lose 120 pounds, and I definitely can't guarantee that I'll lose 120 pounds in 4 months, let's say. So because I have this goal for myself that I can't guarantee, any time that there's a setback or any kind of problem or then some things happen. How I look to myself and how I perceive myself looking to the world, and I might even be told this straight out, because sometimes people are rude like that. For example, to the world, I might look lazy, or I might look like a worrier, I might look like a procrastinator, right? I might look like a complainer. Why? Because I look lazy because I have this problem to solve, but nobody ever sees me doing anything about it. I look like a procrastinator for the same reason. I might look like I'm a worrier because I keep talking about this problem, but I'm not actually taking any action on it. These things cause us to then have a bad situation. So all these negative emotions and negative feelings, right? And then to ourselves, because we have all these bad feelings, we feel stuck. We feel like failures. We feel like we're missing a key piece of information to make this happen perfectly. Again, because it needs to be perfect if I'm going to do it. And we also feel like nobody understands us. Nobody understands why I don't stumble along and do it incorrectly. But I have this standard that I need to live to. All of these things just leaving us feeling really, really bad about our situation and about ourselves. Now, perfect. So this idea of perfection changes the way that we think about ourselves and situations. And so because I'm trying to control an outcome, so now it's going to happen. It's going to happen like that. It's going to happen with these steps and all these ideas I have about what I want to see happen. And then because nothing ever works exactly the way I plan it, and because I haven't actually started, and because I'm feeling really bad about myself, and because all these negatives are happening, well, I start feeling like Violet is the problem. And once you start feeling like Violet is the problem, well, now I'm questioning my intelligence. Now I'm questioning my self-worth. Am I even worthy of any of this? Now I'm questioning, like, can I actually be persistent? Can I work hard enough? Can I be strong enough? Can I do this long term? Right? So my entire character can become under fire because I'm trying to do it in a perfect way. I see this so often, and it's so sad because achieving a goal and being Violet are two completely different things. The same thing with a situation, right? Achieving this goal that I have for myself versus what my life actually looks like and feels like. So the situation of my life, two different things. But if I can't accomplish this goal, then I might not feel like my life is worth living, right? Because I can't do this thing that's so important to me. And I might try to do anything to make so that there's this, I'm going to do it perfectly, and I'm going to do it extremely, or I'm not going to do anything, right? And so the other side of this is where sometimes I'm willing to be extreme in what I'm doing. Because if this is how it's done, then I'm going to do it exactly like this, and then it becomes something that could take over my life, even though it taking over my life doesn't mean that I'm doing it well, which is the part that's so frustrating because I'm going to make mistakes. It's part of the process. But we're going to deconstruct the situation, and we're going to say things like, well, it's not worth it because it's going to make my life not fun. Or it's not worth it because there's not enough variety in, for example, we're talking about diet. There's not enough variety in that kind of diet. We're going to find excuses for why we can't do this thing because, right? So when we're aiming at perfection, so many roadblocks come into the situation, and all it's really doing is stopping you from getting the result that you want. But what's hard is that the solution is tricky. It's tricky, but it's not hard, I should say, but it's just a tricky solution. Because to overcome perfection, you need to accept the possibility of failure without making it a goal, right? So the fact that I know I'm going to make mistakes, the fact that I know that things are not going to work smoothly, that there will be more effort to put in at some times, less effort to put in at other times. The fact that I accept that nothing is perfect, so that failure helps me. Now, how does failure help me? Well, first of all, I want to just point out that failure is a huge word, whereas making mistakes, it's not a huge of a word, and it's something that we do every day, even if we don't acknowledge it. And I mean every day. I can't think of a day where I've gotten from morning till going back to bed at night where I didn't do something incorrect, whether it was drop my keys or, forget something at home and have to go back, or forget to pay a bill. That's a huge one, right? Like we do mistakes all the time. But yet for some reason, when we're planning things, we try to decide that there should never be any room for error in that. Again, not planning to make the mistake, but understanding that if a mistake happens, I'm going to take action towards it, which is the second part, is that believing in myself that I can find a solution to any problem that happens to come up. And if I know that I can find a solution to any problem that comes up, then mistakes don't seem as scary anymore. And finding a solution means that I actually need to look directly at the problem in front of me. So this is the other piece of the puzzle, is that if I'm scared of making mistakes and I needed this thing to look perfectly, and so therefore I don't start, then I don't see the things that I would have figured out that I would have been able to fix and just fix them and move on. Now, that last one, where I allow myself to look at the problem and see that it's fixable, is usually the part that most people stumble with. Because if I let myself do something and then it doesn't turn out perfectly, I feel like I shouldn't have done it at all. Right? And so a lot of people have this feeling like, what's the point of doing it if you're not going to do it right? It's the flip side of that perfection coin, right? What's the point of doing it if I'm not going to do it right? But in fact, I don't believe that idea comes out of, I'm not going to do it if I'm not going to do it right. I feel like that idea is a defense against, I don't want to feel the embarrassment of having made a mistake. I don't want to feel the negative emotional of failure from having made a mistake. I don't want to show up to a situation and have to say so I accept responsibility for having made a mistake. Not even to me. I'm screaming at myself that much that I don't leave space for the fact that I could fix it if I made a mistake. I don't leave space for the fact that it's not a big deal to make a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. So there's a part of the story where the reason that we end up so focused on perfection is because we're so afraid of failure. We're so afraid of acknowledging our failures. And we're so afraid of dealing with negative emotions. The answer? Let myself get upset, right? I let myself get upset, and understanding that I'm going to be upset for a period of time. So I'm not suggesting that I'm going to just be ripping mad all the time. No, I'm not saying I have to beat myself up either. But let's use the diet again for the example. If I look at my calculator and realize, oh my goodness, today I had 25 grams of carbs, instead of freaking out on myself about having 25 grams of carbs, which for a lot of people leads them to say all or nothing, right? This perfection idea. I didn't do it right, so this day's screwed. So I don't have to care about today. And so they eat 200 grams of carbs. It's an excuse to give up. Versus letting myself look at the situation and say, oh my goodness, I did 25 grams of carbs. And take a few moments to be annoyed with me, maybe even angry with me, maybe frustrated with me. A few moments. Not the whole day, not beat myself up, but being like, I should have been paying more attention. And I'm going to let myself feel that. I should have been paying more attention. And then what? Well, if I'm going to fix this, so made a mistake, find a solution, I need to stop and say, okay, why did I eat the 25 grams instead of 20? What do I have to do? I have to look directly at the problem, guys. When I let myself stop and really look directly at the problem, what happens? Well, now I start to see why I ended up going over, right? Maybe I'm going to find out that I ate before I tracked. Maybe I'm going to find out that I didn't know what to eat and I ate some snacks while I was trying to decide. Maybe I'm going to find out that I ate a meal at a restaurant, but I didn't really track it before I ate. I miscalculated, and when I went back and looked at what I ate, I think I went over. Maybe I'm going to find out that I went out with friends, and then I felt peer pressure, and then I ate something that I shouldn't have eaten. Maybe you're going to have a different reason than anything I just said. But my point is, what happens when I stop and look at it and say, wow, wait a minute, that's why I ended up eating over today. I went to 25 instead of 20. I plan better for tomorrow. I plan, what am I going to do if I'm going out to a restaurant, right? If I eat more than one meal a day, how are my other meals going to look knowing that I'm going to a restaurant? I plan, what am I going to do if I'm going out with friends? If they don't eat keto like I do, how am I going to eat? What conversations am I having about what they're cooking or the restaurant we're going to? Or I plan, I solve, I fix, I investigate, and I find an answer because this is for me. Me being successful at my goals. So success, right? Not perfect. I want to be successful at my goals. I want to achieve what I set out to achieve. I can achieve it incrementally as well as getting it right the first time, which would be considered perfectly, right? Both of them are good. I really hope that this helped to clarify some things for you guys about what perfection is. Let's do our viewer comment. So every week I look at the Saturday video, I look at the comments, and I try to find the commenter who said something that I felt really talked to today's video. And this obviously video is based on Saturday's topic. So today the comment comes from Carousel Queen 3. This was such a great piece of content. Don't wait until after the holidays. Don't wait until Monday. Start today. If you mess it up, keep going. Tomorrow's a new day. Exactly the point I was making in the last video. It's not about failure. It's about figuring out what I did wrong, answering it, and getting it right the next time. Right? And I think another person I want to call out who made a great comment was Sing It, saying, jumping in and figuring it out as you go is completely dangerous in water, but it's life-saving in keto. Jumped in headfirst over 2 years ago, and I'm constantly amazed at the lessons learned, not mistakes, that allow me to make better future choices and improve my health. And why I loved this one especially was because it pointed out something super important. 2 years ago, Sing It jumped in, and yet continues to learn, continues to improve. If Sing It was waiting to know everything before they started, what would have happened is that that person wouldn't have started until maybe today, because this is 2 years later and they were still learning just a little while ago. But maybe not even today, because are you still learning? And so there's this unfortunate reality that we're constantly learning. And so therefore, if we're constantly learning, then if I'm waiting for my perfect information, doesn't that mean that I might never start? I don't want you guys to miss out on opportunities, whether those opportunities are for health or those opportunities are for work, with friends, new hobbies, whatever it is. We can learn a lot of stuff along the way. I really enjoyed having you on Mind Blowing Mondays. Love when you guys come by, Wellness Warriors. Everybody who's new, subscribe, ring the bell. I'll be back next week.